Hey, welcome to Gen Next Door Podcast. I'm Jennifer, and I interview local business owners, entrepreneurs, and creatives. On this podcast, we talk about their business journey and how they are making a difference every day. You'll be inspired and motivated to take action with your business endeavors and connect with the community. Thanks for listening. So let's do this. Hi, hope you guys are having a lovely Tuesday. My guest today is Adam Vigil, also known as A-Bomb. He's an artist native to Arizona. His influence is inspired by Latin culture and the desert. You might have seen his work on the light rail and on t-shirts. Hi, Adam. Thank you for speaking with me today, and I'm very excited to learn more about your work.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So let's start from the very beginning. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, and what you wanted to be when you were younger.
So I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I got my inspiration through just my dad was an artist, my tia was an artist, and when graffiti really came about, that's when I really got involved in doing what I do now. It's just it kind of took me to another level. I like to create on larger platforms, so I did all that. Grew up in the West Valley, near like 43rd Avenue, McDowell. So I went to Isaac Junior High. And then Alhambra, and just traveled around. I got to know all of the West Phoenix, but I know kind of people from all over.
Yeah, I'm on 35th and Indian School, and I went to Alhambra.
There you go.
It was very ghetto there.
It was a great learning experience. Yeah. It was a big for us because we were like the first class to actually have the magnet program when they started letting all the other kids from other, areas earlier. Before that, Alhambra was really like a, more of a white high school, we used to call it. But then when they opened it up, it's just like you got all the South Phoenix, you got West Side, you got everybody in there. So it kind of, the diversity of the school changed overnight. And there was a lot of problems with that and dealing with that. But at the same time, it's progress because now all those people that didn't get along now get along and have those relationships.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I graduated with like 600 people.
Oh,
so yeah. So it was like a lot of different walks of life and different cultures and stuff. Did anyone teach you how to draw, or were you just one of those kids who like would draw all day at school? I was always jealous of those that did it naturally and they would be on their journals drawing all the time. I'm not that creative. It's really hard for me. I struggle. Like I need like a step-by-step process on how to draw something.
Yeah, nah. I was just inspired a lot of Disney stuff. So I guess it was just mimicking that, starting to draw that. But I've always been creative. If it was music, any kind of art, clay, whatever medium it was. But when, like I said, as soon as graffiti came and my dad had spray paint, then the great thing about it was growing up next door, my neighbor had this wall that was like 9 feet high by like 50 feet long. And he used to let me just do what I wanted. And then that kind of started me in getting my name out there because now everybody could see my work. I started out, I did airbrushing for a while, but like I said, just graffiti really grabbed me. And then I kind of got a hold of it and kind of kept going and going and going. And it just took all my time.
That's awesome. I always like the graffiti style. It's very unique.
People they kind of underestimate it. But at the same time, if you look at graffiti for what it is, it's something you're supposed to see from a distance, So it's like when you get up, you see all the little tiny mistakes, but when you're far back, it looks so clean. And then that's the beauty of it. It's just something so raw that can be so beautiful. And it's a bigger platform too.
I heard that you were into music. You were in a music group or something. Can you tell me about that and like what kind of music and what did you do and why'd you stop?
It was Chicano, like Latin hip hop. And it was just, we first started the record label in like 89, fresh out of high school. My buddy had moved to Atlanta, started, his record label. And he's like, yo, we got to come check out some of this music we're doing in Atlanta. So I went out to Atlanta and got to know, how to work in the studio, learn all that, and dealing with artists and dealing with a lot of other, different types of people in the music industry, A&Rs, and understanding what the process was and like how to copyright your music, how to, where you're going to record, how you're taking care of your per diems for your artists, and just a lot of the industry itself. But then we got into the rapping aspect of it. We're seeing so many different groups and dealing with so many people. Like, why aren't we doing this? So we, started our group called the Boondocks. And it was something that they came up with in Atlanta because every time they asked us where we're from, it would be like, oh, you guys are from Arizona? Oh, man, you guys live in the Boondocks. So we kind of the name stuck with us. And it was just, one of the things that just kept going. We were in Atlanta for a while. Then we moved to LA. Then we came back to Phoenix. We built a studio and we put out a couple albums under the Boondocks. We put out one album in 92 and it was back in the day. There was like an MTV show before MTV. It was called The Box, and you could watch videos. So we did our first video. It got a lot of play. It really did well in Arizona, and then we had our few songs that went out, and we sold some units, and we did a lot of stuff with that. And it wasn't the most positive style of music back then. It was the beginning of gangster rap and hip hop when, early 90s. So, the content was kind of, out there, but, it takes, how do you say, it's like it takes a violent lifestyle to become so peaceful. It's just, and growing up in the barrio and seeing the trials and tribulations of what we dealt with in there too, it was just, you had to be tough. You had to have some thick skin to be able to, move forward in what you were doing. If not, you're going to fall back. And, that's where the music industry if you see it today, when you see all these confident rappers with these, the way they do things, there's a lot of gang affiliation there. So
Hmm. Why are we called the Boondocks?
thing for like, there's an old song called Down in the Boondocks, and it just references to people who live far away from you, or like
Oh, okay.
that's what they would say. You guys live in the boondocks because we're so far away from. In Atlanta, you're on the East Coast, you're on the other ocean, so what I mean, you're on the side. So
And
that's
why did you decide to go? Like, was it something that they kind of pushed you to do? It's kind of crazy that a young person would just like leave everything behind and go and do something like that, which is so like it takes courage.
oh yeah, well, definitely. I was 16 when I went. The first time I ever got on a plane,
Oh,
I
that's crazy.
plane flew over there, 4 hour flight, and just got off, saw my buddy, and just jumped right in, and we just, it was there really wasn't no fear. I mean, it was just kind of there was a little bit of homesickness being so young, and I mean, being away from my family. And I did come back after a few months, and then I wound up going back for a longer time, and you know. It just then it was a different story because I went back when I was 18. I went up when I was 16, turned 17 there, came back, and then I went back when I was 18, and then I stayed for longer. So it was just, and that at that time I was kind of a little more ready for that. I knew how they were dressing. I knew where I could go. I was underage, but all my friends were older guys, so they could get me into different places. I still had a baby face. I was, a lot younger, thinner. So just like they couldn't get me anywhere, but I was hanging out with all the football players from Georgia State and Georgia Tech. So I got to see it from a whole other side, and it's you think about it growing up in the desert and you're used to being around a bunch of Chicanos, and then you go to Atlanta and you're in like these beautiful, green pastures of it. And it changes you, it mellows you out, it just teaches you to appreciate life.
That's crazy. So that means you left high school then? Because at 16, you're
Yeah,
like,
I did.
forget school. I'm gonna try to
Yeah,
do this.
I did. Well, I went in the summer the first time, and then I came back. I went to my senior year. I think the first 2 weeks of my senior year, I got suspended from the school district, not just that school. So they kind of kicked me out of the district over some nonsense. So then I was GED and all that other stuff. So I actually had you needed 20 credits to graduate. I had
Mhm.
18 in my senior year, and I didn't get to graduate. So I really was more concerned about, hey, I got to hurry up and get back to Atlanta. So that's all I did.
Yeah.
I just got up and left and stayed with it.
And then, so this is like super random, but I actually met your son at this event before. And he also does really amazing work. How do you feel about him following in your footsteps? Like, I'm sure that's super exciting. And then you have someone to talk to about art.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's awesome. Anytime your kids do anything that, they have a talent for, and any talent, but when you see it, like knowing that, hey, that's my talent, passing along, and he kind of perfected his style and what he's doing. And he is a lot of like me. He's actually just got up and joined the Navy. So he's actually
Mm.
stationed in Virginia right now. And he hasn't been doing art. And I talked to him about it, and he's just like, yeah, he goes, I'm just so busy with this, just getting it together. And I'm proud of him for doing that. And that's the same kind of spirit I had, just getting up and ready to leave. And he did the same thing out of high school too. He moved to New York his first week he graduated, and he went to experience that, and then he got a taste and came back. So that we have that in us, like we got to see the world, we got to do things, and I always motivate him and support him in what he does, and especially with his art. And I tell him to keep doing it. And in the military, you got limited time to do anything but what they got you to do. So
I
he's
love
learned that.
that. Yeah, you guys have very different styles, but they're both unique in their own way. So how did you come up with the name A-Bong?
That was seventh grade. I was up graffitiing all night, and I came to my first period class. It was homeroom, and I was asleep on the class, and they had been started talking, and my teacher, Mr. Scott, was walking around, and I sat right in the front. He always made me sit right in the front because I was always in the back drawing. And as I'm asleep on the desk, he walks over and he's like, "What happens when you split atoms?" And the whole class is looking, and he slams the book on my desk and he goes, "You get atom bombs." And he slammed it on my desk. I woke up laughing, and they were just like, that kind of nickname stuck after the class. So, hey, A bomb, A bomb, atom bomb. So that was from then, seventh grade. It's always been the same.
That's so funny. It's so interesting how like teachers can impact you in certain ways and you don't realize that until like later in life.
Yeah, it was, and it wasn't just that. He was a very supportive teacher, even though it was science. You know what I mean? He just knew that I had something there, so he always kind of supported that and looked out for me. Like, hey, draw this for this program, or when it came to like anytime we needed to draw something for science project, I was the guy. So he kind of singled me out, and he helped me to promote myself and to move forward and continue to do different things throughout my career, and in art in just seventh and eighth grade. So and then I went
Yeah.
to high school. I still got to see him every once in a while. So real nice guy.
So you have basically been an artist your whole life. And when was the first time that you thought that you could do this for a living? Do you do this full time or do you
No,
do
not
this like with your job?
I have my full time job. I work for a general contractor. Do project management, and I just it was about 4 years ago. I took some time off just to get my mentality right. I was general manager of a larger commercial glass company, and I just needed a break from all just the regular business style. I just felt myself getting further into the business side and not taking care of my personal needs of my creativity. So, what I mean, I just felt like I needed a break. I took a break, and in that 6 months, I created an art show called Lover's Lane, and just started building my website, getting more pieces together, and But one thing I did find out about when I did go on my own to do it is just like the energy I have and being an artist and being a creative person. It's when you turn it into a job, it almost takes away from the release you get from taking you away from your job. When I come home and paint after work, it takes me away from all my problems. I can just relax and disappear into that. I could paint for hours. And when I was doing it full time, I didn't have that release because I was doing it all the time. It's like you're forced to do it. Oh, I got to be creative. Oh, I have to make sure I do this many pieces. And it's just, you're trying to monetize those things, and there's a sense of frustration involved. That's why you have to realize, the whole term starving artist, where people just want to be art full time, but there's so many hours in the day. Like I was able to be like, you know what, I'm in and out. I'm up early. I get up. I'm up by 4 o'clock. I'm home from work by 2. If I take a nap, I take a nap, and I still got 6 hours. I could go hard and paint and do everything else I wanted and be happy to do it. So I just weighed out all the options, and I got a great offer to work for this company that where I'm at now. So it's kind of solved all my problems. But then it took me to go through that to learn, hey, I could do it on my spare time, and I do. I mean, and I'm happy to do it. A majority of my projects I schedule on the weekends. My kids help me. We get them done fast. So that's pretty much the best thing you can have is when you're interacting with your kids and your family while you're doing something you love, and you still have all your finances in place and not have to worry about this next job and the next job and the next job. So
Yeah, I just interviewed someone else, Allison, and she's also an artist, but she has a full-time too. And we talked about this, and she also said the same thing. Like once you're a full-time artist, you lose that passion for it because you're doing it so much, and now your life depends on it now, and you have to pay bills, so it's like stressful, but you wanted to
exactly.
do the art because you like it and you love it.
It is, but I mean, the great thing about art in Arizona now is just like there's such a demand for it. So when
Hmm.
you're artist, you put your own price out there, and as long as you know your own worth and what you're going to value yourself as an artist, then you can make sure every second of your day is worth it. And if it wasn't for my wife being so supportive and involved in what I do, and being able to go out when I'm painting, bringing me lunch, taking my younger son to go be a part of it, and what I mean, so I'm not losing family time, they're joining me, so that always helps too. And that's the biggest part of it all, is incorporating your family and everything, especially with the art, because that gives me inspiration. My kids give me inspiration. My family gives me inspiration. And now my work, when my coworkers give me inspiration. There's so much, when you're working with a good group of people, or you just have good people around you, you're always inspired. So I kind of try to get out there more than I usually have, just because I like to go communicate with people and go, have the opportunity to talk art and to, collaborate with different artists and just to go see what everybody else is doing and show face. And, the younger crowd, they address me and they know me. Everybody knows A-Bomb, the OG A-Bomb. I'm the old guy now. So that's what they say. And I go, what does OG stand for? Old guy? So we laugh about it. But, it is. I've been doing this a long time. So when you see all the talent that we have in Arizona nowadays, you're competing with the best. And that's why I tell everybody, man, I'm not competing with nobody. I'm just the best at what I do. And that's what I'm going to do. It's like, I'm not trying to, copy anybody's style or do anything else. It's just, we all inspire each other. And sometimes like, hey, I seen that painting. This dude did that. I want to try something like that, and but I do it in my style. And that's the best thing about it, is that we all get inspired. That's why there's so much music that sounds the same, because people, hear something and like the melody and put their own thing to it. So it's all universal.
Do you remember what was your first paid artwork and how'd you feel about that?
Well, I've been getting paid for my artwork since sixth grade. I was drawing little comic books of people and like characters for people. If it was a quarter, if it was, 25 cents, if it was a lunch ticket or something, he's trading me something. It's always been, there's always been a transactional part of me when it came to my art. I knew that I can do it. Like seeing my aunt have her art in galleries and knowing she was getting paid, I was like, oh, I can get paid too. So I would contest, and I won a contest in sixth grade, and there was it was for some orange juice company, and I won a Walkman, and it was like this was technology back then, an AM
Whoa.
Walkman in the sixth grade, and I won that, and I was like, okay, we can do this, we can get paid. So then after the airbrushing, and started airbrushing a bunch of clothes and skateboards, and we got into the skating scene, started doing a bunch of that, and then just one thing after another, and then really didn't get paid for murals. The murals was all just free time and getting out there, but it was a lot of like drawing flyers for parties. And as I got older, it progressed, and then I got some corporate clients dealing with Mountain Bell back in the day, and I used to do private events and be able to paint live for them. And you're making $500 at 16 years old, 15 years old, and
That's a
that's
lot
always
of
like,
money at 16.
yeah, like just being an entrepreneur, just that way, just having fun. And at that time I wasn't working; it was just school and art. So that was a different kind of thing for me. But it worked out.
A little businessman. I like it. So how did you get your work out there? Do you ask people or do businesses come to you to showcase your work?
People they like. I figured I've always said this to everybody: is like just do what you want to do and just do it like you love it, and make sure you're a good person and go out there and meet people, and the work comes to you. It speaks for itself. So not everybody likes all the same style, but when there's so many people out there that it doesn't even matter. There's always gonna be somebody that likes your style. So usually they'll hit me up on my Instagram, or they'll get me on Facebook and ask me what I do, and what kind of projects am I interested in, or what if I could just specifically do specific projects to their homes, or if it's corporate, like I just did the Phoenix Suns collab tee for the Los Suns. I did that. I just did State 48. So State 48 was a big Chicano, just stamp for me. Like to see that. It was a big deal for me on doing that, and just like I got other things in the works, and I'm always doing something. I do a lot of like restaurants and businesses like that for murals and, in and out kind of stuff where I can schedule on a weekend, go in, but there's always a painting in the mix, or, graphics I'm doing for, other customers, but I have a base that I usually work off that keeps me busy.
Yeah, so it's really just like sharing your artwork to the world and see like eventually like people will see it and whoever is meant to be in your path like will come to you. And so now that we talked about collaborating with State 48 and the Suns, how exciting is that? And what exactly did you do with them? Because I know there was a t-shirt.
Yeah, we did a t-shirt that was for what is it, Mexican Heritage Month, I believe.
Mm.
And they got me to do that. We did a couple photo shoots, some lowriders, and they want to capitalize on that culture. They want to, because they know Phoenix is a big base for Chicano
Mhm.
culture. It was nice that they know that, and they took the opportunity to, give me the opportunity to kind of expose that to everybody else. So, that was great, because I've been a Suns fan all my life. Then to have that opportunity was just something that came out of nowhere, and it surprised me, because I got that through another collaboration I did with Ziggy's Magic Pizza Shop. And before that, it was State 48 that Ziggy's contacted me. So we're just kind of back and forth. Actually, Ziggy's didn't even contact me. I know the owner of Ziggy's. So I kind of, hey, man, I want to do something for you. And I just sent it. And he's like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Can I use it?" I'm like, "Of course you can use it. Yeah." And man, I love pizza, so I get free pizza. You know what I mean? Every time. So, you know what I mean? But I just gave them the design, and it was a great collab for me because, they sold shirts for themselves, but, just because I know my kids, they all frequent those kind of spots. So when they see my shirts, they're like, "Oh, my dad did that." And then that little hype and that buzz. And like, and I've got other work off of it. The Suns actually saw that design, and that's where they called me like, "Hey, we
Oh,
like," yeah. And I did it for free and it paid off.
so it's also networking and talking to people as much as you can about your work, and eventually, like someone knows someone who knows someone.
That's how it works. Chicano community within the Suns. There's Chicanos and Hispanics and Latinos in the Suns that look out, and they've been looking out for all the Chicano artists and Latino artists. So that's great that they have that eye out there too. So it's good that they participate and keep us all involved.
That's amazing. So, how do you describe your art style?
It's very 2D. Yeah, I lost an eye in like 1997, so
Oh
I,
no.
I I paint like very, very like I say 2D is just like paper and pen. It's like I start there, and I just like big bold images. I don't do a lot of shading, so it's just more Chicano driven. Like yeah, I get inspiration from all over. Like my wife's from Hermosillo, so her family being Mexican Americans, like first generation, you get to see, that kind of culture. So, I do a lot of Dia de los Muertos paintings and, mariachis and stuff like that. And I've got that from going to Mexico City and seeing Mariachi Plaza and being able to, see the culture out there and how they portray those ceremonial days. So it's pretty cool to see that. But there's just so much going on all the time that, there's always somewhere to pull from. And it's just like opportunities are out there. You just got to look for them.
Yeah. Personally, I like your skeleton stuff, and when you have like couples like in the cars, I like
Yeah,
those.
love, it's all about love, and that's what I try to portray. I want you to when I see people see my art, I want them to have an emotion about it. You know what I mean? So like when all my Dia de los Muertos stuff, it's just that you're celebrating the life of somebody that passed. So it's just like, oh yeah, my tia loved to dance, or oh my dad loved this and that. So when a lot of these the calacas and everything else I do, so there's something behind it. There's and then with the Chicano stuff, when I draw the couples cruising, that's the lifestyle. That's that's cruising, the cruising culture, and having your lady on your arm, and having showing her off, showing your car off, and it's very family driven. I don't know if you got out to the South Phoenix cruises, at the South Plaza, and you go out there and you see it's not just a guy in his car; it's groups of people and families and nanas and tatas and everybody out there. So it's a very family oriented culture, and that's what kind of grabbed me to come back to revisit that because I kind of try to get away from that when I was younger because I didn't like the gang culture that went along with it, and I
Hmm.
lost people going to jail, and my parents were scared of me getting involved in that culture. So that's why when I went to Atlanta, they were happy I kind of got away from the barrio like that.
Yeah. So, what is like your technique? Because also it's kind of very colorful. What kind of like stuff do you use? Like paints, oils?
No, it's all acrylic. I've done some oil painting in the past, but
Mhm.
it's a longer process because it takes longer to dry. But a lot of acrylic painting, the graffiti, I love it because it dries so fast and it's so forgiving. You can go over it with another color to fix something. And when you're painting with canvas or acrylics and oils, it takes longer to fix a mistake, or you take longer because you don't want any mistakes. But it's always just been those. Like I don't airbrush anymore, and even being 2D with my eye and losing my eye, it was really hard to gain my can control back because I didn't have any depth perception. So
Oh, okay.
work. I like the larger scale stuff because I can fix my mistakes easier. When I'm working in small, tight spaces, it's hard to, fix a mistake at a real close level. But if you look at some of my bigger pieces that I've had, like I got a wall on 10th Street in Camelback at Just Blaze. It's 19 feet high by 40 feet wide. And I did it from top to bottom in 2 days. And that's the kind of painting I like to do because it's big. It's just very bright. It's dominant. And it's in a great position where the sun doesn't fade it. But just so I can get my technique in there, I can get all the the detail I like when I get instead of going to a smaller area.
Yeah. Can we talk about your eye for a second?
Yeah,
How did that happen? And like, how did that change your artwork from before to after? Like, were you kind of upset that you may not be able to do art, or
I
was it
did.
okay?
Yeah, it was, and it was funny because what happened it was I was fixing Arcadia door, and because I was working for that commercial glass company, and the screwdriver slipped one day and just went straight through my eye,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that was just something that, you know, what I mean, at that second, everything I couldn't do with two eyes flashed before me. So I was like, man, I can't play softball no more. I can't play sports is off. You know what I mean? Like I can't draw anymore. But, you know, I sat down and, you know what I mean? One day I went out through my surgeries. I had to sit down with, looking face down because I had to have a gas bubble in my eye to the stitches in the back of my eye that they had to repair as well. They had to have a gas bubble inserted and I had to keep my head down at a 90-degree angle so the gas bubble would hold the stitches in place. So my buddy brought over a stack of paper and pencils and he was like, here you go, man. And all I could do was sit down and draw. So kept going and kept going, persevered through that and, you know, got the opportunity to, you know, do some logo design for some companies and they loved it. So I was like, all right, I'm on the right track. So right then I always knew that like I said, I always was going to keep a job, but it was always something that if I can make it, I'm going to do it inside my regular time frame with having a job and everything. And that worked out because those guys right there, you know, the first logo, I think I made like $120. You know, it took me like maybe a couple hours. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I just started stacking those clients up. And as my eye got better, and then I wanted to try graffiti again. I did it. I stopped. I wanted to try it, but I didn't. And I didn't do it till maybe about 10 years ago, maybe five.
Oh,
10 years ago, I tried graffiti again, and that's when everything took off for me. So that's when I was just like, okay, boom, that's where I need to be. I came back full circle to that. And, you know, and then I got to the point now where I feel more comfortable doing it. I know what I'm capable of. And that's all I try to do is, you know, fine tune that and to be able to, you know, get the opportunity to, because you can't just go find a big wall and, hey, I want to paint it. You got to get prepared. You know, you own the wall or somebody has the wall. So they want to see what you're painting and they want to approve what you're painting or they want to incorporate something. And that's not how I do it. You know what I mean? When you want to do something that you love to do and you get those big platforms like that, something that big, you go all out. So it's
mhm.
hard and few that you get those kind of walls to do those big pieces. But when you do, it's special.
That's crazy. It's hard to see like be positive after that and continue to do the artwork, but that's inspiring.
Oh yeah, it does take a lot away from you. You know, you have to be able to, you know, appreciate, you know, where you're at in life. And like I tell my kids, it's like everybody's constantly changing. Everybody has adversity in their own way, you know, and you have to have a positive outlook on it. You're not going through this by yourself, you know what I mean? But when you succeed is when you persevere through any kind of trauma or any situation that anything that takes you out of your comfort zone is there to build you up. So you gotta be able to, you know, take a look, step back, take a look what you're going through. You know what I mean? Me, I'm a big pray guy. I pray all the time. So I pray for the strength to get through and I move forward and I always overcome everything. And, you know, I contribute all that to, you know, just my faith in God and what I do is for my religion.
That's amazing. Let's go back to collaborations and artwork. You sell stuff on your website, but
Mhm.
then you also collaborate with people. So you don't have to like say specifics, but how do you establish those price points from things you sell? And then when you collaborate with others, are there negotiations or do you get to decide and say, this is my price? Or do they say, like, this is what we're offering?
I really don't try to say any kind of pricing with anybody when they start. I just tell them, hey, you know, I can work with any budget. Tell me what you want
Oh,
to do, where we're going to be at. You know, and with the Suns and the corporate clients, they have flat rates. Hey, this is what it is. Take it or leave it. You know, and Suns approached me a few times, and I was like, no, thank you. They wanted me to work for free, do some outside, like paint the stadium when the games are going on. I was like, never did. I was like, dude, these are $1 million corporations. Why aren't they paying people to, you know,
right.
to participate? You know, it's nothing to them, but they want, oh, we're giving you a platform. Like, yeah, I get it. That's great. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying I don't need it, but it's just like I got a family to take care of. You know what I mean? I can't go spend 4 hours painting and not get paid and time away from my family. So I value that. So, you know, God always works it out to where, you know, they hit me up a couple months later and be like, hey, what about this? I'm like, that sounds good. Let's do it. And it happens pretty fast, to be honest with you. Anytime I feel like if something's meant for you, it's just going to fall in place. There's nothing wrong about it. Just it happens when it's supposed to happen. It happens.
So you
Any
can't really think of it as scarcity, like, oh my God, they're never going to talk to me again. If I say yes, like I have to say yes. So you have to think, what are you worth? And tell them, like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and it's just knowing when to say no too. There's jobs that, you know, like I know that, man, that's too big right now. I don't have the manpower. I don't have the time as much as I want it. I can't put my regular job on hold. You know, I can't just take days off to go do stuff. I want to be, you know, but you know, I'll weigh it all out, and then if it's something I can't do, then I won't. But if it's something that, what I mean, I think I really should do, it'll fall into place. Something will happen through the universe to make it all just be like, oh, hey, you know what? We can do it on a weekend now. Or, hey, you know what? We can accept it, a month later instead of having such a short deadline. It'll just work out. And it's like, I leave it all in God's hands and it always works out for me.
That's awesome. I want to think like that too. I'm trying to think it's gonna work out. It always has and it always will. So what's the biggest challenge you have right now, if anything?
Oh, inspiration. Like sometimes, like, how do I say, just when I'm working on, when I get project, like I got 3 or 4 projects I'm doing right now. And when you're dealing with multiple projects and trying to be creative when all the deadlines are kind of around the same time, you gotta, okay, I gotta take my mind off of turn off this creativity for this project and turn on the creativity for this project. And it's night and day. This is a corporate client. This is a mom and pop Chicano restaurant that wants something, or this person wants this, or this is a rapper, and then this is a yogurt client. Like I'll do logos for whatever. And it's just when I have all these deadlines, and I think that's the biggest part of trying to keep it all together is staying inspired for each project. Because, it's hard to switch over. You can, and it works out. But I think the best way to combat that is get it all lined out, get it all in a row. Like, you get everything organized for each project and just stick to that organized, that list of things you got to do. So you're not getting, oh, you know what, now I'm going to add this. No, you have to stop yourself. No, I'm not going to go over that because it's going to take more time. And even though I'm inspired to do more, it's just like, no, I already agreed to myself that I'm going to stay here so I can complete this project and I can meet this deadline. Because if not, I'm not going to meet the deadline. And I don't,
Oh, dang.
that's why I have my clients that I do, is because they know I get things done either before the deadline or on the deadline. And
Oh, it's a
that's,
lot of like self-discipline to keep all the stuff straight and figure out your inspiration for each. When you're stuck without inspiration, what do you do then?
I go somewhere I've never been. I'll go to a restaurant I've never been. I'll go to a store I've never been. I'll go walk around, other stores that have nothing to do with anything I like, just to walk in there and just see different things. And that's what it is. We're so used to the regular routine we have and the people we deal with and where we go and what we watch, that you get tuned into just that frequency, and you have to get outside of your comfort zone to be able to find growth, because in the comfort zone there is no growth. It's just relaxation and being comfortable. But now when you get out of the boxes, that's when you see new things, your mind open up, and you'll be able to get some creativity. And it works. I've seen some great things in some Asian restaurants that inspired me to do several things for several clients. Just a style of artwork that was on the bathroom wall, a small painting, and it'll change my thought process completely. But, those are the things you got to be looking for. You got to be willing to be able to be open-minded to everything. Everything's the way a tree looks, the way, these cars passing by look, the people in the cars, everything. Just got to pay attention when you just got to know when to look for inspiration and get outside of the box.
I 100% agree with getting out of your comfort zone and going somewhere that you don't usually go to. So,
Yeah.
what projects are coming up for you and what projects are out there for people to see?
We're negotiating a new Suns project right now. We're going to do another collab. And that's, when that happens, I haven't even got the date yet, and I can't even talk about it until,
Okay.
I got to see what it is, but we haven't really got that far. We just know that it's on the table. I do a lot of private murals, like people when they want their backyards done. And, I do Nando's Mexican food restaurants. I've done 2 of his locations, and he's opening the third in Maricopa. That's coming up. And those are big projects. He has huge restaurants, so he gives me an opportunity to do a lot of bigger things. So that's going to be one coming up along with the Suns. I'm getting ready for another show with Sagrado Gallery. Hopefully I'll have that done by June, July. If not, it might show August, and maybe get ready for November of next year. But just to have as many pieces as I can to do that. And just, all my personal clients that I deal with on a regular basis, I do that. And then just growing my business for where my 9 to 5 is, working with these guys is a lot of my time. So I really appreciate what I do, and I enjoy what I do for them. So I like being involved and, diving into and immersing myself into that kind of lifestyle as well, because the corporate construction lifestyle is, it's been in my family for years. My dad was in construction, all his brothers, all my brother's an architect, we all, my other brother's a draftsman. So we all kind of love building things. And on that kind of level, when you're building, when you're working and building stadiums and $35 million projects to $100 million projects, those are things that keep you sharp. So, what I mean? And that helps me get it. So it's so far away from my artwork. That's why I love it so much. So there's a lot of big things going on with that.
You got a lot going on. I like it.
We're gonna be the Cesar Chavez Community Center on 35th Avenue and Baseline next to the high school
Hmm.
is going to be up soon. We just got done with that project. So I'm glad to be able to be a part of that in the history of going to Cesar Chavez Park since I was a kid and, doing everything I am there. So that's a big project for me personally to be a part of.
What advice would you give to other artists that are doing what you're doing to be successful? What should they do?
The advice I give to other artists would be get outside of your comfort zone, go see new things, go new places, and do things that only you want to do. Don't do things because it's cool that everybody else is doing. Go see
Hmm.
your own perspective, and that's how you come up with your content.
That's awesome. Okay. And then, so we were talking about Ziggy's Pizza Shop. You were helping out with a certain event.
That was I call it hoodies for the holidays. I just basically got together with some people and actually did it first. My first year I did it in two locations. I did it with the Fair Trade Cafe with Stephanie over there. She allowed me to she was the first location I was accepting hoodies for, and then the following weekend after that I did Ziggy's Magic Pizza Shop, and then getting to know Ariel real well. He was just such a giving person, and he was like, "Hey man, you give a hoodie away, I'll give a free slice away." So I was like, "Oh, well, that's awesome." So we winded up. I think this year we just did it on over 300 hoodies just from that, and not
Oh,
what I
wow.
not collected personally from other people and friends of mine that just brought stuff over. But it was great, and it's a great opportunity to give back to the community. Like I'm always downtown. My wife and I go out downtown. We go eat at Ziggy's. We're always in restaurants downtown, and you see the homeless community, and and I always thought like I always on a personal level would give bottled waters or. And my wife was Phoenix PD for 10 years. So every time I drive to pick her up, I'd be there and I see people who just need water. So I would give bottled waters away. I was giving, bags of my own personal clothes. And then one winter I saw that, you know what? What's the thing they could use most? And I had worked with Cass, the community shelter there, and stocks is the biggest things. And I've given stocks before, but when you're talking about a hoodie is something you can wrap your head in it, tie it up tight. The
Mhm.
wind's blowing, and when it gets cold and you're on the streets, man, I've been out there just partying and being there with my friends and be freezing. And you're talking about these people who don't have nowhere to go. So it was just like a no brainer for me to just be like, I think hoodies the thing that I want to do. So we winded up hoodies for the holidays. It was a great success. I had Phoenix PD come by, drop off a bunch of hoodies, firefighter friends of mine donated, I mean, a lot of, great people and car clubs come by and, it's just the community gets involved and they know then these are all the people that are out in that side of town anyway. So they know that we're contributing to, our lifestyle, where we're at. We want to help everybody around us. So that's what
That's
we say.
amazing. And so you grabbed all those hoodies and then gave them to the homeless people?
Yeah. So what we do is we'll gather whatever it is. Like we just did it a 1 day event this year, so we just gathered all the hoodies at that location. We separate them into sizes, and then we go after. Like we stop at a point, so it'll go from nine to noon, and whatever we get by then, my kids and I and a few friends this year, I did it with the greater good and my kids, and we all go jump in my truck, take the boxes, and we go distribute them ourselves. So what I mean, they get to witness the feeling of the emotional part of the process, where you see people who don't have nothing and they're thankful to get something as small as a hoodie. So it's just the
I
giving
love
back.
that.
Yeah,
I love that feeling, you know? You actually get to see their faces when you give it to them. And it's like something different than giving money to charity, even though you should do that, but it's a different feeling.
it's a different energy involved when you see somebody's face when they're sincerely saying thank you for something that they needed. That's and you get emotional about it. And that's what it's about. It's creating that emotion of happiness. That's why I tell my kids and I tell my brothers and a lot of people I know that are great givers, that people who love to give. I said sometimes you got to accept too. You know what I mean? Because you're robbing somebody of that feeling that you get when you give to somebody. Sometimes you just
Yeah,
got
I'm working on that.
yeah,
Because
because
it's
I'm
hard for me to like accept things. I don't know
it is,
why, but giving is
it is
so much easier for me.
you're blocking blessings, man. You're blocking
I
their blessings.
know.
That emotion of knowing that they did something for you and somebody who's a kind person and they get to give to them. That's what it's about, man. If we can continue to, promote that emotion of people and helping others, that's a great generation to live in. If we can all get everybody on board with that, nobody will ever need nothing because everybody will always be helping everybody out.
Do you have any plans for that in the future or any other things to help the community?
Yeah, I got a couple other things in the mix. I'm just dealing with some. We have a 501(c)(3) that we already got our licensing for. We're just dealing with how we're going to proceed because when you get a 501(c), you really got to pay attention to what's going on. And I learned a lot of times the hard way. And understanding this is something I've been wanting to do, so I can take it to a bigger level for when I get to my retirement age. I want to be able to dive into these kind of things and really help out in a bigger way. But that's something that when I get it together, we'll have to chat again on, just so I make sure I'm saying the right things because there's legalities involved in that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but as far as the hoodie drive, I think we're going to do it again this year, and just something we can do every year and just help out the community and hopefully grow it and get it bigger and bigger and just get more support and get the wheels turning. And if that's something I can leave as a legacy to my kids and to continue to do, then that's what it's about. Just helping, just teach people to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me know because then I can post it everywhere because I want to join too.
There you go. Go. We'll definitely get you involved. I'll make sure what we're gonna blast out. We're gonna reach out to a lot of corporate sponsors. This past year we did it with a lot of just communities, but I'm gonna reach out to, like I said, the city and the people that I work with, and the corporate clients, and be like, hey, I know you guys got funds. Can you donate? Can you help with something? And working with the Greater Goods, it's a local barbershop downtown Phoenix. Those guys are always on the same level too. They're the next generation of, giving back, and they always do that. And they do help the homeless, and, to be able to pass the torch to those kind of guys and to be able to do it. And it's amazing that these kids nowadays can be so responsive to the right thing to do. And I think in such a negative situation, we have negativity at our fingertips and put in our face all day long to be
Hmm.
able to positive outlook, just that's a great thing. That's what I tell all these kids. Don't be depressed. Dude, you're unhappy, you ever miserable, you ever feel like you don't have a purpose, just go out and help somebody just for a little while. Start helping somebody as many times as you can. Or even when you notice they need help. If you got $1, if you got 50 cents, or you got a bottle of water or something, or you want to just compliment somebody, change your day by complimenting somebody. Hey, your hair looks nice, or I like that jacket, or your life changes when you become that kind of person. You can change that attitude at a split second. It's just changing your mind, and that's all it's got to be. And I think that a lot of kids are embracing that, and there's always two sides to it. That's the balance of the universe, but you're always going to have a negative side. But when you can promote the positive side, that's a great opportunity. And to see the kids I know and everybody that I work with to be that kind of giving person, it just gives me hope that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of the time we're always in our head, just thinking over and over the negative stuff that we see online and like what's happening with our own lives. But if we go out and help people, we can leave that negativity for a second
Yeah, that's what you
and
do.
changes lives.
It does. It changes you. It changes everybody individually, man. It changes your person. You start embracing that feeling of the giving, and you receive. You just start receiving. That's how you win in life. The more you give, the better you live.
That's good karma too. So what's your overall goal with your art? What's your biggest dream?
I think that my biggest dream for my art is just to, I like the collaboration part, when they get me out there, that kind of exposure. I really like doing collabs, what I mean, and throughout any industry. But, my art shows, I want to continue to have art shows promoting unity, love, and, just embracing that, like the car culture, that Chicano lowrider scene is a big deal. I mean, we wouldn't be having these shows at these stadiums with,
Yeah, they're big.
thousands of people. I was part of the Arizona Super Show for 10 years, and we were renting out the biggest facility in Arizona, the Cardinal Stadium. Super Bowl Stadium was letting Chicanos have it for a week to have car shows and bring our community together and our cultura together to all celebrate who we are, is how we've come to be where we're at. These cars used to just start off with lowriders, with sandbags in the trunk to lower them back in the early lowriding days, 60s and and now, you got $100,000, $200,000 cars out there, and it's really a sport to these people. And, and it is to everybody, everybody in the community. We all appreciate it. And there's nothing about showing off a little bit to the hard work you put into something. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I love that. What's something you want to leave the listeners with? Information about your projects, last inspirational words.
You know what I do? We should be unveiling my light rail project. That should be at the new substation and on Central, just north of Broadway. The substation, I think 30 is the number it is. But I've been working on a piece for them since 2017. It's actually two pieces, 12 foot by 3 foot, and they're all steel sculpture, wall base framed, like kind of a history of the light rail in South Phoenix. So that's going to be coming up, and I would wish that everybody got a chance to see it. And hopefully, when this light rail project's done, you can actually drive down Central Avenue again. You go take a look at it and check mine out, along with all the other great artists that are going to be there. And as far as words of inspiration, is just help others. Hey, get out there, help others, man. Just be happy, help others, know
Yes.
yourself, and just be a good person. That's what we can do. We control that. Nobody can control that. Yeah, you got to go to your job. You got a boss. You got family members and everybody else you deal with. But as long as you're a good person, I think that's the best way to go.
Did you say your project you started in 2017?
Hmm.
That's a long time.
Yeah, but it's just not consecutive work. It's a lot of learning what we can do, what the city parameters are, what the law allows us to do, and how are we gonna, maintenance these projects for the future use, and how long is it gonna last? We have to make sure that I get architectural stamps on my construction of my build and on, the installation of the build and working those things. So it's a learning process, and the city, throws you into it, and you understand how the city works. Before, you couldn't get a job at the city. Now I got the inside scoop because I know how they want it. And that's the best thing you can do as an artist, is understand when you're submitting for large projects, how they want their submittal packages. And you get a really fast course in it through the city, and they drug me along, and we all learned together. And
That sounds very interesting, and I didn't realize that it took that long and has all these little details that we wouldn't realize. We just think it's artwork, but really there's a lot of that goes into it. So last question, what do you love about Arizona? What specific local business or location?
specific area I could say is I love downtown Phoenix. I've been
Me too.
going, but I love the sunsets, sunrises. I love all the desert mountains. I'm a huge fan of mountain scenery. I got a great view of the mountains from my home. I just sunsets, sunrises. I get up early, so I got to witness, 99.9% of all the sunrises this year, past year, because I'm up so early. But that's it. I just love the weather. I love the lifestyle. I am a native, so I do appreciate the heat. I acclimate to the heat, and I love the cold weather. Don't get me wrong, but I love the heat, and I love being a Phoenician.
Yeah, I don't like the heat, but I'm here.
Good.
Well, that was it. Thank you so much for talking to me, and I look forward to seeing your work everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and you're doing a great thing yourself.
Thanks. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this episode with A-Bomb. I was very inspired by him and hope you are too. Please go support him on all his socials and watch out for his next projects in the Valley. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. I would love to know what you guys think. Should I change things around? What should I ask my guests? And what do you enjoy most about my interviews? Thank you so much for listening to every episode. I appreciate you so much. And I hope that you take some valuable information from this episode and everyone I post and apply it in one way or another into your business. Talk soon.